It's a little bit fucked up, but
Freaks.
anything for the freaks.
Freaks. I woke up to a text from Matt. Can we do this tomorrow? My neck. My neck.
Fucked it up.
It looks like it. I'm happy the ice recommendation. You were doing pure heat. You can do ice, heat, ice, heat, ice, heat, on, off, off,
Yeah, I mean,
on.
I just woke up and it was fucked.
Yeah. That was a. I woke up. I was like, oh no, what's going on, Matt? Can't do tomorrow. I'll be traveling. I'm sorry. Can't.
I popped for Excedrin and I messaged Marty.
Yeah, I feel like Excedrin. You messaged me. I was like, I don't think Excedrin was. I think you need ibuprofen there. Excedrin's more for opening the brain capillaries if you have
Does
like
Excedrin
migraine.
not have ibuprofen in it?
I don't think so. I think it's like one of those like vessel openers for
Well, you
migraines.
could have told me, bro.
Uh, I'm not a doctor. I'm not allowed to give medical advice, even though I've been doing it.
Well, whatever. I'm all hyped up on caffeine because Excedrin has caffeine in it, which is why.
How's your week been?
It's been good. It's been good. Been busy, but good busy. How's your week been, Marty?
Good busy too. I can't believe it's Thursday.
Bitcoin's been.
Ranging.
I guess it's always a little bit more quiet around the holidays.
Yeah. Well, the Bitcoin. I'm trying to think. It's been quiet on a lot of fronts. I've been off Twitter a
I
bit.
guess just last week was a fucking whirlwind. We
Yeah.
got to chill and
Yeah. I mean, we did the party rip, um, in Nashville. Vibes were high. I love the party rips. We need to do it more.
yeah, we're gonna do it a lot more in this coming year. That's for sure.
Yeah, because we're gonna have the studios set up in Austin and Nashville, and when one travels to the other, which should be often, we'll all be there. We'll get more freaks into the studio as well.
Did you see that? So I guess that coin market cap bug.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin was what was Bitcoin $789 billion on coin market cap.
Yeah, we were all trillionaires for a day.
I was recording with Steve Lee while that was all unfolding, which was a little bit crazy. I feel like that could have been fun.
Well, shout out to that, Steve Lee, the Don, um, doing big work. But that Coin Market Cap thing, number one, if you're still using Coin Market Cap, shame on you. Not going to make it. Number two, wasn't that a product of that Java backdoor that was discovered last week?
I have no idea what caused it. Didn't really look into it, except that I thought it was funny that you said no one should use Coin Market Cap. First of all, wait, a lot of people do.
I know.
But fucking Coinbase takes their for their like price ticker widget. They take Yahoo's price feed, which is sourced from Coin Market Cap, which is like so ridiculous. You would think, I mean, they run one of the largest exchanges in the world.
Like, how do
You'd
they
think they
not
would
have
just
their
use
own
their
order
own
book
price.
pricing?
Yeah.
That's odd. That's what I tweeted out, like still using CoinMarketCap, not going to make it, and then under that, like waiting for Oracle blowout risk. It doesn't seem like any Oracles got blown out by this, and that's surprising considering I didn't know Coinbase was connected to Yahoo Finance.
Well, I know I mean, there's tons of issues with oracles. What Marty's saying when he says oracles, he means like there's like in different DeFi protocols, they need to know what the US dollar price is at any given time. And there's no way to natively do that on chain in a trust minimized way. So what they do is they have a bunch of centralized sources, and usually they do like some kind of weighting against them.
Yeah,
But if those centralized sources report
that
bullshit, then you can have like crazy liquidations and stuff.
yeah. So it doesn't seem like any of that happened, at least that I haven't heard, which is
Yeah, I mean,
pleasantly
if you're
surprising.
using a single oracle and that oracle's coin market cap, then you're really not going to make it.
Not going to make it. But Car, can you look up the Java exploit? Apparently, there's like been this backdoor on the internet that a bunch of Minecraft players discovered. Like a bunch of teenagers discovered this backdoor and figured out how to like bork Minecraft. And it apparently
Have you ever played Minecraft?
no, I haven't. I'm a
I don't
boomer.
I don't really understand it. It makes me feel like a boomer.
From what I understand, it helps kids learn to code. Um,
I didn't know about that.
yeah, yeah. So apparently, this is like a backdoor in Java. So anything, yeah. The log. So look up log4j. Um, is the exploit? Is the library that's getting exploited?
Did anyone say that's what what happened to coin market cap?
I think that's what people were pointing to. Yeah.
So to the freaks, I mean, just for some actionable advice, if you are using CoinMarketCap, considering using bitbo.io
or Clark Moody's
uh,
dashboard.
or Clark Moody's dashboard.
And if you're going to shitcoin, probably
And use
better off.
CoinGecko, I guess.
Yeah,
is
CoinGecko
like
is probably better. Masari maybe too. I don't know if you got. Yeah, if you're going to shit.
Oh yeah, the old on-chain FX.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. If you're just following Clark Moody's dashboard or Bitbo or Cash App or River.com,
Or like the block clock on your wall.
which follows Clark Moody's dashboard or Bitstamp.
Well, you can pick like which exchange, which source.
Yeah. Yeah, so be aware. Let's go back to that Log4j vulnerability because it seems to be a big one. I'm surprised you weren't on top of this because there was a lot of people on my OPSEC Twitter bubble that my list that were throwing a big
I'm in a
stink up
temporary
about
studio environment here, so I cannot see any of that writing. So it's all on you, Marty. Explain this vulnerability to us.
So the Log4j team has been made aware of a security vulnerability CVE 2021-45046 that has been addressed in Log4j 2.12.2 for Java 7 and 2.16.0 for Java 8 and up. Summary: Apache Log4j thread context message details. It was found that the fix there was a CVE bug in version 2.15.0 of Apache Log4j, and that patch was incomplete in certain non-default configurations. This could allow attackers with control over thread context map MDC input data when logging. Configuration uses a pattern layout with either a context lookup, for example, some code. Can you unhighlight that? I can't read what the blue behind it. To craft malicious input data using a JNDI lookup pattern
Marty, what does that
resulting in a
mean?
denial service. So basically a big DDoS attack potential. So I guess
so it couldn't have been this. It couldn't have been CoinMarketCap.
they could have
vulnerability.
DDoSed. They could have DDoSed the server and then put their own shit in front of it. Who knows? But yeah.
Okay.
Is anybody any
don't
freaks
trust
in the
a single source, freaks.
any freaks in the comments know about this Log4j vulnerability? Is it big? Am I overreacting?
Did Java release a fix for it yet?
I think so, yes.
I mean, Oracle.
Yeah. All right, let's get to Clark Moody's dashboard, then we'll get into things here. We got a list. We got kids screaming in the background in my neighborhood. Market price of Bitcoin, according to Clark Moody's dashboard, is 48,065 cuck-bucks. One cuck-buck's going to get you 2,081 sats, hovering at a $908.6 billion market cap. We are 30.4% away from the previous all-time highs, which were $69,010, according to Clark's dashboard. Currently at block 714,427. Since the last time we met, Bitcoin passed the 90% of the supply being distributed to the market threshold. So over 18.9 million Bitcoin
Only
are
10% left to be mined. Less than 10%.
less than 10%, 90.01% of all Bitcoin that will ever be mined have been distributed to the network already. That is 18,902,579 Bitcoins.
Well, when measured in US dollars, that last 10% at point of being mined could be worth more than the previous 90%.
Yeah. And it most likely will if Bitcoin keeps doing what it's been doing. And if it does that and goes beyond. Since we last met, we had a difficulty, was that? Yeah, we had an 8.3% upwards difficulty adjustment. We hit hash rate all-time highs too. I'm sure we'll get into that. The next adjustment is estimated to be on December 24th, Christmas Eve. That's 1,253 blocks away. And as of right now, blocks are coming in at 10 minutes and 14 seconds on average since the last retarget. So that means we'll have a negative 3.1% adjustment, which
would be
means
a great Christmas present.
would be a very good Christmas present for anybody who has miners up and running and has them plugged in during that adjustment. Ooh, big Ben pull for Clark here right now. 24,281 transactions in Clark's mempool, 29.7% of those are replaced by fee transactions. Samurai Whirlpool unspent capacity has been hovering in this level for quite a while at 4,346.84 BTC, or $208.8 million worth of unspent value in
lot of money.
cuckbucks. Director of CISA said Log4j is the most serious threat she's seen in her 10-year tenure. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I heard it was a big one. Yeah. Apparently. How much is Bitcoin in Coors Light? Well, it depends. I paid $6 for a Coors Light.
You paid $6 for that Coors Light?
Not for this one. For a Coors Light at a bar
Like at a
last
bar.
weekend. So 6 times 2,081. It's 12,000. No, it's more than 12,000. 6 times 8. 12,426 sats
At a bar.
at a bar. That's at 2,000.
$6 for a Coors Light, man.
2,081
That's
sats a cuckbuck. I multiplied that by 6. You guys can check my math.
Yep,
Lone
that sounds
Star's.
right to me.
Yeah, Lone Star's 2,000 sats. So it's less than $1. They're like $2. It's like 4,100 sats, something like that. Cars
I'm
drinking
glad
Lone
we're
Star.
nailing the important topics here.
Yeah. Well, speaking of important topics, should we just jump into the list, sir?
Yep, let's fucking do it.
I actually have a qualm to pick with you for how they just have it. Dorsey announces independent board to run B Trust initiative funded with 500 Bitcoin donation from him and Jay-Z to fund Bitcoin development in Africa and India. Dorsey? Jack? I mean,
I don't know, sometimes when I just say Jack, people aren't sure if it's like Maulers or Dorsey.
Okay. So.
And also, I was in a lot of neck pain when I wrote that list.
This is, the market's been aware of this 500 Bitcoin fund for a while. I think probably over a year now. Jay-Z and Jack have been scouring Africa for a board to overlook the trust, and it seems like they picked a hell of a team here. So we've got actually Carla Kirk Cohn, who's been on the podcast before, Abu Bakr Nur Khalil, Obi Nosu, and Ojima Okai. I know Carla personally. She's been in my apartment. She's been on this podcast. She's an incredible Lightning Network developer, incredible soul. Her family gets into the winemaking business as well. Obviously, Obi, who started CoinFloor over in the UK, has been around Bitcoin for a while. I can only speak to knowing Carla and knowing of Obi. I haven't met Obi yet, but I'm sure Abu Bakr and Ojoma are stand-up citizens as well.
So first of all, the whole idea of B Trust is in February last year, Jack Dorsey and Jay-Z each contributed 250 Bitcoin to an endowment focused on Bitcoin development and adoption in Africa and India. Since then, they've been fielding applications for an independent board to manage that endowment. I was talking about this with Steve on Tuesday, and he told me that we were going to have to wait to hear about the board around like 2 weeks, hopefully by the end of the year, and then the next day the board gets announced. But he said that they got over 7,000 applications to be a part of this independent board, and now this independent board was screened. Jack met them personally. I believe Steve met them as well, and now they're going to move forward. They have total control of this 500 Bitcoin endowment and what to do with it. And what's really fucking awesome to me in this situation is, so February of last year, I really feel like the price was like 27K or 30K. Steve said it was more. But this idea of Bitcoin endowments for causes, where this endowment, if we're right and Bitcoin is, truly designed to pump forever and increases with adoption, will constantly grow in purchasing power. So if they draw down on it, if they don't draw down on it too much in the short term, it could just exist for
the perpetuity,
hundreds of years, funding development and adoption in Africa and India.
No, there's we have examples of not necessarily endowments, but companies in the Bitcoin space that have raised money and raised Bitcoin to basically have runway for their company, and they did it at a time like anybody was raising for their company in Bitcoin in like 2015, 2016. Some of them are still sitting on a fat stack that they're just able to draw on. Don't have to go raise and dilute their company brand. So if you are going to do a raise as a Bitcoin company, maybe you allocate a little bit more of that raise to purchase some Bitcoin to hold on the balance sheet to potentially avoid having to dilute your equity in the future.
100%. But just to go back to like the significance of this initiative, like I would love to see basically more endowments get created that hold Bitcoin and that are trying to further different goals for improving the world that we live in. And another one example we have, I think is it Charity Water? It's one of the
Charity
water,
water. Yeah,
yeah,
charity water.
Charity Water. They're accepting Bitcoin donations that they promise not to sell for a certain number of years
5 years, 2025.
in a
Well,
specific endowment. So I would love to see more initiatives like this. I mean, it's fucking massive.
yes. Scott
So right now
Harrison.
it's worth like
Scott
$25 million.
Harrison. I had to remember his name. Scott Harrison, the founder of Charity Water, has been on the podcast before. I'm double checking that right now because
How much does it say they have in that endowment right now?
let's check. Go to Charity Water,
Is there-
101.29 BTC. So that's pretty incredible. And they
So
plan.
that's about 5 million, and this B Trust is about 25 million right now.
Yeah, and so and we have it up on the screen for you freaks at home who aren't watching the live stream. The Bitcoin Water Trust is an experimental growth fund for clean water. Donate any amount of Bitcoin, and we'll hold it until at least 2025. Yes, if you go up there, I should be. I donated, I think, 5 million sats. I'm not a Winklevi or Scott Galloway, but should be on this list. I highly recommend considering if you're looking at it, especially at the end of the year, you're looking for like tax beneficial write-offs, and you want to get into give that money to charity instead of the government. I think this is a good one.
100%.
Yeah.
And if the whole B Trust idea interests you, definitely check out the most recent Civil Dispatch because me and Steve talked about it at length.
Yeah, and if you want to follow them on Twitter, they're at BTrust Team, BTRUST TEAM. I'm going to follow them. Shout out to the new board members of the Bitcoin Trust.
Fuck yeah! Cheers.
Yeah, looking forward to see what you guys put out there.
Welcome to Team Bitcoin.
I mean, they were already on Team Bitcoin. They just have new titles, I guess.
Fair enough.
Staying on
Welcome to
the
a greater role, Team Bitcoin.
staying on the nonprofit tilt, SAT Center launches to educate regulators on Bitcoin. So this is, I believe, Riot was behind this. Riot Blockchain.
Yes, that is my understanding. I think they might have spearheaded it, but they got a bunch of other organizations involved.
Yeah. So apparently this is a nonprofit that will provide education to the public, elected officials, and regulators seeking to learn more about Bitcoin and how it can empower economic growth and financial inclusion. So we got Coin Center, you got the blockchain. What is it, the Blockchain Commons? Or no, that's Christopher Allen's thing. What, Perry and
that's completely
Boring.
different.
Perry and Boring, I think it's like the CHOP Blockchain Association or something like that. They're on the Hill. Now I guess it looks like we have SAT Center as well. So, and then there's
There's a couple other forming right now too as well. So
yeah. What do you think about this? Should we be engaging like this? Is this important?
I think it's every Bitcoiner has a different skill set and different roles to play, and those that are good at politicking and lobbying, what better way to use their skills than to at least try and soften the blow against us as private Bitcoin users in the short term. But I think ultimately, like the real answer is free open source tools that you can use to take sovereignty over your data, whether that's encryption for messages or whether that's securing your own keys using your own node for Bitcoin, right?
Yeah. I think those things are extremely important. And I think, again, in my tilt, it's just lean into the states. Like, yes, work at the federal level may have good returns, particularly in just stopping the horde of incompetent politicians from fucking things up for us in the short term. But I think a lot of the leverage that is to be realized is at the state level. And we already have realized some of that leverage too, particularly in Wyoming. Here in Texas, there are big things happening. Kentucky obviously has some laws. The leverage at the state level went the opposite direction in New York with the BIT license. I know a lot of people are pissed off about that. People are leaving because of that and have been leaving. But yeah,
I mean, 100% the state level is, important. But I think we also need people fighting at the federal level. And I would say that I'm pretty sure this is the first. It's important to note that this is, as far as I'm aware, the first major organization in this type of role that is Bitcoin focused. That's Bitcoin only, and it should be interesting to see how that changes certain narratives.
Yeah, because we saw a bunch of them. I mean, God, we had over the last 2 weeks a bunch of representatives from the cryptocurrency industry on Capitol Hill, as well as the Fed meeting as well. On the Congress had Jerome Powell to ask him a bunch of questions. So there's certainly a lot of confusion on Capitol Hill, particularly about what's going on out there. I mean, you had Elizabeth Warren like saying that DeFi is going to destroy capital markets and the financial system. Then you had Powell come out and say, "Hey, I actually like stable coins, and no, I don't think like Bitcoin's a systemic risk." And there was just a lot of conflicting viewpoints, at least from what I saw coming out of Capitol Hill.
As is tradition.
Yes, and then you had the shitcoiners getting on there, and they're slimy motherfuckers. I called it this week. I think SBF, he's going to be the Jihan Wu of this cycle. He's going to, FTX.
I don't know about that.
They've got arenas. No, he owns a shit ton of Solana.
In what way is he going to be Jihan?
He's going to try and use his position as like the darling of the exchange arena to try to force people away from Bitcoin, and it's going to backfire. Like, he was on Capitol Hill saying we should move to something like Solana because it's proof of stake. It's better for the environment. He blocked me months ago because I called him out when he started like trying to push that narrative forward. So Sam, if you're listening, I'd love to have you on.
I guess there's some similarities with Jihan.
Yeah, so look, pull this up. The environmental impact.
There's a bunch of reasons they're different, right?
Yes. Proof of work networks. I mean, is it though?
Jihan was, basically the lead of the majority of Bitcoin miners. Had a massive investment and influence in the Bitcoin space. Put all of his balls on the table in like an outward fork attack on Bitcoin and lost a ton of money and influence. It was like the main ASIC manufacturer at the time. Like SBF's influence over Bitcoin is rather minimal in comparison.
Significant trading liquidity.
Like Jihan was internal.
Yeah, I guess there's another layer. There's probably better analogies for individuals, but maybe he'll be his own.
And Jihan got absolutely wrecked. Do you think SBF is going to get absolutely wrecked?
I don't know. We'll see.
The richest under 30 and
yeah, he's donating a lot. He's donating a lot to the big guy. We know that. But yeah, we'll see. It's yet to be seen. Much more successful than me.
I would prefer if shitcoiners didn't use this energy bullshit.
Yeah, pull that back up, Carl. We're going to read it to the people. So this is like what he's running with. Proof of work networks require substantially larger energy consumption than proof of stake networks. We aim to incentivize our customers to utilize blockchain technology with the lowest energy usage and therefore the smallest impact on the environment. A single Solana transaction requires about the same amount of energy as 2 Google searches. Empirically, based on our analysis of our customers' actual activity, more than 80% of the blockchain transactions originating from FTX occur on proof-of-stake blockchains. So
that's what I'm saying. He's saying 80% of the transactions.
Yeah, but it's like
it's a perfect example that he doesn't have that much. He's not that involved with Bitcoin. Like he probably holds his savings in Bitcoin.
He's going to attack Bitcoin. He already is attacking Bitcoin. You want to consider this an attack?
It's like more of an external attack than an internal attack.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We're fighting over semantics of the particular.
Jihan hits different, Marty. Jihan hits different. We have a bunch of freaks that are here that weren't there for the Jihan days.
Fuck your mother if you want to fuck.
Better metaphor, that's all.
Okay, all right, better metaphor. Yeah, I'll think about it. Think on it.
But yeah, this energy bullshit is tired and old
Yeah, we talked about this
and
last week
easily
too.
disproven.
The shitcoiners like, oh, we're all in this together. We're like competing. We're gonna uplift. We need to work together. Like we like Bitcoin, and then like behind your back, they're like, Bitcoin's destroying the environment. Come buy my shitcoin, which I own 80% of, or something.
Exactly.
So beware, freaks. Beware. Those attacks are gonna come as we move forward. It's gonna heat up. There's gonna be a lot of
Jihan
noise.
didn't have a Super Bowl commercial.
No, no, he probably wanted one though. That's yeah. I mean, this guy's buying influence. He got the stadiums, the commercials, the politicians.
Yeah, yeah, I see similarities.
Very fiat mindset, if you will. And he doesn't know how to tie his shoes. A lot of people.
He's fucking killing it though.
Is that Arthur? Yeah,
Yeah. No, I can't see.
yeah. Chad Arthur versus the billionaire virgin, FTX.
BitMEX is just full. BitMEX is just full KYC now.
It's sad
When
to
did
see.
that happen? I forget. Has it been like 8 months now or something?
It's
10
been quite a
months?
while. Quite a while.
The end of an era. I guess it's been a year. It was like fall of last year, maybe.
Yeah.
Time fucking both flies and just that feels like a decade ago.
Yeah. Time drags when the price consolidates like it has over the last few weeks. Uh, Next topic, chain analysis launches Lightning Network product. Everybody's like using this. Samurai guys particularly call them out, being like, Lightning Network terrible for privacy.
Well, this is
However,
when you know you made it.
yeah, that, but like it's also like
It took them long enough.
it's an announcement. Like, do we actually know if they're able to de-anonymize anything?
Well, I mean, a lot of what surveillance firms like Chain Analysis do is some smoke and mirrors. I mean, everything's proprietary, so they're going to always oversell themselves. But there are ways to track Lightning.
Yes.
I had the episode with Anthony Ronning that was purely focused on Lightning privacy, and that's still Dispatch 21. So if this interests you freaks, you should go listen to that. It's
It was
aged very well.
impressive how you remember that
Um,
number right off the top of your head.
well, I sent it to someone earlier today
Oh, boss.
um, because of this article uh, or this announcement or whatever. So we should be vigilant. There are ways to track people on Lightning. It is not, the focus hasn't really been privacy. It's almost a byproduct. And a lot of the reasons why I would even consider it a privacy tool is because naively sending Bitcoin on chain is really bad for your privacy. I had a freak, like just a perfect example here. I mean, I have a freak who sent me some sats via Lightning, and I sent him an invoice. He sent me sats, uh, and then he asked me like, "Is there? Were you able to do any backwards analysis on my transactions? Because I know you say on the pod a lot that you like if someone sends you Bitcoin, you do a little analysis on them and you check." And that process for like a simple user, for a normal user, is you don't really get any information from receiving that Lightning payment. If someone just sent me an on-chain transaction, I can just easily just pop it into any block explorer. I can pop it into a block explorer that I um, use with my own node, and I can backtrack that transaction relatively easily. At least see like where it came from. Um, so you get some you as a sender rather than a receiver, you get a decent bump in privacy. In the reverse, as a receiver, they know a lot about you by your invoice, like stuff like your node public key, potentially an IP address if you're not using Tor. Then they can find out even if you're using Tor, they can see what your public channel capacity is. If they're a more advanced attacker, they can probe you and see your private channel capacity. So there's still a lot of work to be done on the privacy front with Lightning. I think pressure from firms like Chain Analysis will further development and focus into privacy on Lightning. I know Wasabi Wallet right now has a one Bitcoin bounty out for a privacy focused Lightning wallet. So I think we will start to see more privacy focused development on the protocol side and on the wallet side, and this kind of pressure like leads it to that. And then one last thing to mention with Lightning privacy, it requires more of an active attacker. So they have to be running nodes, they have to be constantly watching the Lightning network, they have to be probing nodes. With blockchain analysis, like that ledger is there forever, right? So you're able to go back at any point in time. In 10 years, you can go back if you have new information, and you can, without actively surveilling it, you can go back and just look at the ledger and apply whatever extra metadata you have.
Yeah, and apparently the privacy is improving with Taproot. Obviously, if you can create a two-to-two multi-sig that looks like a single input transaction that hides. However, we do need to figure out the channel announcement, which is a bit of a privacy decayer there. But people are working on that. And then on top of that...
And we need Taproot adoption to go up in that situation.
that as well, obviously. And on top of that, Schnorr signatures allows the ability to open those channels and then create point time lock contracts instead of hash time lock contracts. And from what I understand, that has privacy benefits as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the exact nuances there. But development continues.
We are moving forward. And
like I said, like feels like it took them a fucking long time to launch this product.
Yeah. And
I think part of it is probably because like exchanges and stuff haven't really implemented it yet. There's been a couple, like Bitfinex has it implemented, Bitstamp has it implemented, River has it implemented. Obviously, Strike, it was built on Lightning in a lot of ways. But I think part of the reason is most of the big volume exchanges don't have it implemented. So chain analysis felt like they needed to have Dogecoin before.
Well, I think we know Bitfinex, Bitstamp, and a few other exchanges have it implemented between each other, but they're using private channels, so it's harder, if not impossible, for chain analysis.
But some of those that I mentioned, I think all of those I mentioned allow user deposits and withdrawals.
River definitely does.
Yeah, and so does Bitstamp and Bitfinex. Bitstamp is using Zebedee as their provider, basically.
Mm-hmm. That was announced this week too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think BitNob's another one. It's easier to do a chain surveillance product on something like Dogecoin because it's a fork of Bitcoin. They already know how it works. It's a blockchain ledger. With Lightning, there's more nuances that they need for a product like that. Yeah. As always, when we talk about surveillance firms, I would tell the freaks, if you go to my website, you can get all my different communication platforms, whether that's Matrix, Keybase, Telegram, Threema, all of those, but Telegram are probably preferred. If you have access to one of these products, if you have access to chain analysis, Lightning product, I will be very discreet. I will not share my source. Love to take a look under the hood.
You heard it here first, freaks. Communicate with us. We may have something like officially on the TFTC site where we communicate this more and look for that type of stuff.
We should, me and Marty have been fucking around that like we would just apply for, we want to chain analysis our customers. Like, can you give us access?
Yeah,
what do you mean, like a Dropbox or something, like an encrypted Dropbox?
Yeah, or like a flow.
That'd be fantastic.
By
we
which
should have
people...
an Onion Dropbox where freaks can just send shit.
Yeah, but if they're going to send us shit too, we got to get better, me and you, at actually verifying data and stuff like that. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, me personally,
we'll just
I'm sure you're better.
Shout it out and hope that is right.
I saw BTC Kite there commenting from Twitch. I like a Twitch comment there. That's the first one I've seen in a bit.
Oh, good. We're streaming to Twitch again?
Yeah, we always have been. We just don't have.
I thought we stopped for a bit.
No, we don't. We just don't have a lot of followers there.
What's the Twitch?
I think TFTC 21, or maybe it's Marty Bent. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, Marty doesn't even know the fucking username. No wonder we have no followers.
The TFTC difference.
We should get just for talking business on air. I mean, we should get a TFTC Twitch and start.
Yeah, I think it might be TFTC. We can. Let me see. I'll check.
If you are twitching out of Marty Bent.
Let's see. Let me go on Restream, see what we're connected to.
Just says BitKite. BitKite, what channel are you on? That's
right. Yeah, there's literally one person watching, and it's
just BitKite.
It's just BitKite on Twitch. Thank you.
You're on Marty Bent?
Yeah.
Okay, well we're gonna make a proper TFTC Twitch channel, so we'll show it next week.
The real Marty Bent is my.
Yeah, we're gonna make a proper TFTC Twitch channel.
Yeah, that was a big squirrel. I thought that was a cat for a second. Yeah, I think it was squirrels hoarding.
Fake news. You have no squirrels in your backyard.
The squirrels are getting ready for hibernation. they're girthy right now. Chain analysis. If you're working there, just think about what you're doing. Just think about it. I've met some of you before. You put the case forward, but you're really what you're doing. I mean, it's possible at the Bitcoin network, so we should state up front the Bitcoin network needs to get better at preserving individual user privacy. The same with the Lightning network. But on top of that, like if you're working at these firms, like what are you doing? You're middlemaning and basically catering to a despotic surveillance system that revolves around KYC AML regulations that have proven to be wholly ineffective against actually stopping crime. Something like 0.1% of all financial crime has been stopped because of KYC AML. Criminals are going to
criminals know how to get around it. They either buy information or they steal information, and they can get past it. Ask anyone at any of these fraud departments.
Yeah.
But then the average user gets absolutely fucked.
Well, it's actually ironic because
all this sensitive data is stored forever and shared insecurely, stored insecurely. It's a fucking sham.
Well, it's ironic because the KYC AML regulations and the data that companies and third parties are forced to collect actually creates the honeypot that criminals go after. Right? They go after this information and like spoof users to conduct crime. It's all fucked up. We live in a clown world. Somebody tweeted at me earlier today, we're approaching peak clown world. I don't think so yet. I don't think so.
Marty, I recall someone else making that call once.
That was me.
How long ago was that? Like 5 years ago?
No, it had to be like in the summer. I had to relight my cigar there. Ice up, Matt. Ice that neck up.
I used your coughs as cover for me to pick up the crinkly ice. This is like the most ghetto. It's just it's a Ziploc bag of ice.
That's usually how you do it.
Is that how you usually do it?
Yeah, that's how I grew up doing it, at least. It's that time of year again, freaks. The time of year where we give Coinbase props, where props are due, and that is because they released. We always do this. I mean, we give them.
Yeah, this is like the only time we really talk about them, except when they added Shiba Inu.
Yeah, but yeah, we got to give them props for props are due. I really like this transparency report.
More people need to do transparency reports. I would say Kraken really leads the bar on this still.
Yeah, Kraken does a good job, but Coinbase wants to get out there too, and it's basically a dog whistle for like, hey, citizens of these countries, look how much your government's trying to spy on you. And as with every year that
5,500 law enforcement requests.
Yeah, in the U.S. So as with every year, get down to the chart.
Isn't that total? It's 55 total.
And that's the first 9 months of the year.
It's not the last 3 months, and everyone knows.
Find the chart.
Federal agencies like sending requests during the holidays.
There we go. That chart. Can you click on that? Or actually,
it's like
go down.
All the U.S.
Go down. Let me see the not the chart, but the grid below it. Yeah, there you go. So 5,562 total law enforcement and agency requests, 2,727, which is the highest volume of law enforcement and agency requests from a single country, which is the United States. So over half of the requests, or just below half of the requests, came from the U.S. And then behind the U.S. was the U.K. at 1,044 requests. 51% of law enforcement and agency requests arose from outside the United States.
They just did the math for you.
Yeah. The
United States was 49% of the requests at 2,700 requests.
So freaks, do we live in a free country? Why is the government?
Marty.
Why is the U.S. government the land of the free, the home of the brave, the foundation of the republic, democratic republic, the federalist system that we live under now? It's supposed to respect private property rights, privacy, freedom to choose sound money. Why are they trying to snoop on all their citizens? What's going on here? Thank you, Coinbase, for putting this report out. I love highlighting this. We live in a clown world. We are not free. These people, the government does not like you. They treat you as if you're guilty before proven innocent, and they're trying to get you to spend more tax dollars. They're trying to extract more tax dollars from you so they can fuck up your life even more. That's what they do with the tax dollars that you give them. They just make your life harder. It doesn't really help at all. They don't really get allocated efficiently or towards endeavors and investments and projects that actually do things that help the American people. They just make us all worse off.
Like
So,
free neck massages.
you get free neck massages?
No, that'd be great if the government offered that.
That's what wives are for.
It'd be such a bad massage.
That's what wives are for. Yeah, they're just going to create like robot masseuses that just it just wind up killing
Yeah, I
people.
take that back. I don't want it.
You know what? I don't want it. So you can go check out this law enforcement transparency report from Coinbase on their blog. We're going to link to it, of course. Do you have any ending thoughts on this topic particularly?
Cheers to them on the transparency report. Fuck them for also being a surveillance company and having contracts with the same organizations that are giving them giving them the requests.
Yeah, the IRS.
And this is just a perfect example, once again, that when you trust these regulated businesses with your Bitcoin, if you're holding it custodial, you're also, even if you're holding it self-custody, you're trusting them with your intimate private information, whether that's withdrawal addresses, whether that's your home address, whether that's you holding a little passport up to your face and taking a selfie. Like, you're giving them that information. That information is going to be stored indefinitely. It is going to be shared. It most likely is not stored securely. So just know what you're getting into. And if you do choose to use a regulated service provider that requires this identifiable information that we call KYC, you have to really intimately trust them, and you need to reduce as much exposure as you have. Like, don't go sign up for like 9-10 different services. If you must do the KYC route, make sure it's just one service, the bare minimum.
And look for services that
join afterwards.
Look for services that tend to stand up for users' rights. I mean, River's a great example. I think they have a very good law team in house that really wants to protect the rights of the users and do the bare minimum and fight on behalf of the users. I'm gonna throw Cash App in that bucket as well. I'm sure there's others. Disclaimer: Cash App sponsored.
Swan does a pretty good
Swan
job.
as well. Swan as well. And I think there has been an official announcement about what's going on in New York with Swan. It has to do with the exchange that they use to facilitate the big Bitcoin buys for their users. They got rug pulled in New York.
And they're trying to get it up ASAP.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear more about the dangers of KYC, go to nokyconly.com.
nokyconly.com. nokyconly.com. We got to keep leaning into this meme, freaks. KYC AML is the illicit activity. It puts us at harm. It does nothing to actually stop criminal activity. It wastes resources at companies. It leads to a massive misallocation of capital. Like, chain analysis shouldn't exist as a company. Like, imagine how many millions, billions of raising money are just being wasted because companies are being forced to track this data and this activity, and there's a little cottage industries popping up around it. Imagine if we were able to allocate that capital for something like actually like teaching kids, having a good education system, or fresh water, better housing, whatever it may be. Instead, it's being allocated to create services that spy on you and treat you as if you're guilty before being proven innocent. So, KYC jelly. Yeah, there's something there, armchair contrarian.
KYC jelly is the website for PlebNet.
Oh, okay. KYC
the
jelly.
Lightning Network initiative run by a group of Bitcoiners.
Boss. Love Bitcoiners working initiatives. This is pretty cool. I wrote about it on the newsletter to get me all excited. Jeremy Rubin, he's doing an advent calendar, 25 days of Christmas type blog series. And last week on the 10th, he wrote a blog post on payment pools and coin pools, which I am very excited about. This is something that's been talked about in the Bitcoin space for quite a while. John Carvalho and I got in depth with it on the episode that we recorded a few months ago. Like, many people don't know. Again, we had this discussion last week on RHR. You don't. There are no Bitcoins. There's UTXOs. We're still going on. That debate's still ongoing, but we're not going to have it here right now.
Marty, you agreed with me in your own fucking newsletter after that episode.
I know. Well, we're not here to talk about it, okay? You screenshotted me. I
have the screenshots.
You screenshotted me. You have the receipts, okay? They're up there, all right? But Not every individual in the world will be able to own a UTXO. Not anywhere close to every individual will be able to own a UTXO due to the data constraints and the block space that exists on the Bitcoin blockchain. And so with that fact in mind, many Bitcoiners, I think Greg Maxwell most famously, has been running thought experiments. All right, if we take that at face value, not every human is going to be able to own a single UTXO. How do we make it so more humans can own partial UTXOs? And that is what Jeremy is proposing here in this blog post, a payment pool and coin pools that would allow multiple individuals to have part ownership of a single UTXO, which helps with scalability and potentially privacy as well, which Jeremy gets into in his post.
Is there anything in there about, I don't think there is. I looked through it a little bit. Could be interesting used in combination with Lightning.
Yeah, I mean, he does talk about coin join as like a quasi coin join, and when you're thinking about channel opens, that could certainly have some interesting privacy.
So like Lightning is basically at its core is this idea that you can get the most out of a single UTXO, and this proposal is that a bunch of people can share a UTXO, but they can also spend out of it,
Yeah.
so that it's not custodial situation.
Yeah, each individual who has part ownership of the UTXO owns a part of a private key. I imagine you could sign that and take your part of the UTXO out.
But I'm not quite clear. Like, I mean, I think it's been a decent while since we had Jeremy on the podcast. We should probably have him on soon.
Yeah, I was talking to him over the weekend. He's going to come on.
But I'm not quite following. Like, it seems like there's a griefing situation here where, like, a bunch of people try and claim in like a high fee environment, and I wonder how that's handled.
We'll have to ask Jeremy ourselves. Jeremy, if you're listening, we've been talking.
The cool part about Bitcoin scalability is, we have a lot of people working on disparate things. Sometimes they're connected. Sometimes they can be worked together, and they can complement each other. And it's just great that Bitcoiners have as many options as possible.
Yes. Car, can you pull up a chart? Just Google Bitcoin UTXO set. Let's see how large it is right now. Does mempool.space have that? I don't know if they do. I know Jameson actually has it on his, but I forget. He's got like a weird data site. I can't remember the URL at the top of my head. Just Google Bitcoin UTXO set. Chart should pop up somewhere. I forget. I'm trying to think of the sites that have it. I haven't checked this chart in quite a while. No, that's River explaining it. So go back to the search page. I'll let me see. Keep going. Search LOP after it.
I got feedback from a couple of the freaks that we should cut out this kind of aspect of the show for the podcast feed. For what it's worth.
Deal with it, freaks.
Deal with it, freaks.
Yeah.
You're not going to read what time we're at?
No. God, no. I can't even tell anymore. I don't have the data in front of me. Yeah, Car, it's not there. There's charts up there somewhere. We'll find them, though. So shout out to Jeremy. I mean, he's gone deep into many different topics during this Advent calendar blog spree he's been on. So
making Marty's bench job easy.
Very easy, even though I've only written about one of the articles out of the 16 that have been written so far, but there's always fodder there. Maybe I'll write about another one today.
You got some backlog to work down.
I don't have a topic at the top of my head right now.
It looks like Dhruv wrote about it on Unchained, but I don't know.
Dhruv has written about it in the past. He was actually one of the early people to not ring the alarm, but make the public aware, like, hey, you're not going to be able to own not everybody's going to be able to own a single UTXO. Let me see here.
What are we looking for?
The number of UTXOs in existence. Here it is, stattoshi.info. That's what I was looking for.
It's LOP site.
Yes. So right now I'm looking at it, unspent outputs. There are, As of the 16th, there are 46,974,844 UTXOs out there.
How many?
47 mil, 46.97 mil.
47 million.
Yeah.
And that's one of the nice aspects. So the larger the UTXO set, the number of active addresses, the more data that nodes have to hold and transmit. And one of the nice things about the incentive structure of Bitcoin is when fees go up, people are incentivized to consolidate their transactions. Keep in mind there is some privacy impact there. You are linking any of those UTXOs together naturally in a single transaction. But people tend to consolidate, bringing down the number of UTXOs.
Yeah, and I got the number wrong. I was looking at the total transactions with unspent outputs. The unspent transaction output number is 77,731,754. That's what it is.
Is that the correct chart that he has up?
No, go to
It's fine.
yeah, it's fine.
We spent a lot of time on this.
Yeah. We're going on to bigger and better
But anyway,
things.
that's part of the cool incentive structure that is the free market.
Yes. Fees go down, consolidate, lower the UTXO set, which actually lowers the data burden for the rest of the users on the chain. Makes it easier for people with bad bandwidth connections to the internet to download the full state of the Bitcoin blockchain.
And Tor users.
And Tor users as well.
And keeps cost and accessibility just down across the board.
Yes. On the shout-outs, we have 3 shout-outs this week. First one, blessings to Marty and Matt. Thank you. Bless you too. You guys are laser focused on a better world. Thank you, Marty. Your ad reads at the beginning of every RHR is my secret fetish. Don't ask why. I'm not going to. I just need to hear my favorite one more time. Give me a good performance, sir. I'm reading this now. This rip is brought to you by our good friends at the motherfucking Cash App. Hey, thanks for the shout out.
A bunch of A's in it or something?
A bunch of P's.
Bunch of P's.
Yeah.
So you kind of got the pronunciation wrong there.
Yeah. I tried my best. Thank you for the shout out, freak, and the smile at the end. And I'm happy that you like the ad reads. I try to make them fun. It's good for the user and the advertiser. You advertise, hey, Cash App, if you're listening, you hear that. Hey, Matt and Marty, thank you for all the great content. I've been a listener for a little over a year and still look forward to RHR every week. Thank you for coming back, sir or lady. I'm a very technically capable individual who recently became a fun employed, fuck vaccine mandates, but have little experience with formal development. Given the gift of free time, I'm currently working my way through my web, Bitcoin, and Lightning development education and would love to get involved in an actual project. However, I have no idea where to start. Do you have any tips on how to get involved, or do you know any projects looking for someone to do relatively simple elementary technical grunt work? Thank you again for all your content you provide for us freaks. All the best to you guys and the freaks out there. Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of open source software. There's a bunch of open source projects looking for help right now. That's a good way to prove yourself, do a review, make PRs.
Yeah, start with projects you like, tools you actually use and enjoy. You know, start small and start with things that you really like and you use all the time.
Yeah,
it's the easiest way to get involved.
Yeah, I know BTC Pay Server.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say BTC Pay Server has a very vibrant open source community with a lot of help when you're getting into that. There's a lot of people there who'll be like, here's what we need help on.
Yeah, you don't have to just be a developer. Like, there's a ton of other contributions that you can make, and that's why it's important to always open source contributors. I'm grateful for our open source contributor community. It's not just devs, but if you're a dev, it is greatly appreciated.
Yes, if you're a designer, if you can actually write technical content, that is actually impressing me as well. Documentation, all that stuff. So yeah,
and BTC Pay is a massive organization. I mean, I would say, start with some of the smaller projects that you use all the time. Consider it.
Yeah, and it is a great way just to prove, like, hey, I know. Here's my contributions to this open source project. I'm a Bitcoiner. And that's like one thing these companies will ask you, like, what have you done? It's like, well, I've actually contributed to this open source project. Here's my work. You can go to my GitHub and see what I've done. And that's
all the commits.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me. So one of the initiatives I'm championing at Bitcoin Magazine is Bitcoin 2022 free tickets to open source contributors. If you're so far, we've announced 3 every month. We're announcing a new one. Right now, it's Bitcoin Core, BTC Pay Server, or the 5 major Lightning implementations. So that's LND, C Lightning, Eclair, Immortan, and Rust Lightning. And if you're a contributor to any of those projects with a commit before October 1st, so don't go spam a commit now. You're too late. You can go to b.tc/conference. You can apply. You get a free 4-day pass. All the days of Bitcoin 2022, you're going to get a free ticket.
And if you're not one of those people who can get a free pass, you can use the code TFTC to get 10% off. Oh, Matt's not coming in with a bigger discount. Looks like that one ran out.
If they heard it, I'm not allowed to share the discount code I said last week because we're trying to keep it on the
DL.
Like if it gets shared too widely, it's going to get discontinued.
Okay. All right. Last but not,
I'm going to selectively do it.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, /shout out of the week, a very important one, as Skeef pointed out. This is to inform everyone I am the self-appointed president of the Marty Jones fan club. Marty already retweeted it, so it's settled. It's true. Applications for other officer positions can be submitted through a TFTC shout-out and will be thoroughly reviewed. Selection decisions will be made based on the depth of knowledge on conspiracies and not sounding lame. Skeef, @Skeef_25 on Twitter. And Skeef, bro, you're falling into their trap of conspiracies. We're just talking about theories, okay? People conspire. Dave Collum had if you don't believe that women and men of power conspire to do things, you're an idiot. All right, so we don't just fall we get labeled conspiracy theorists if we lean into the conspiracy thing, Skeef. We're gonna work on this. As the president of the Marty Jones fan club, I'm a little disappointed in your announcement shout out, but we will get better. I'm a very forgiving. I don't even know what I would consider Marty Jones.
MartyJones.com is already taken. I tried.
Thank you for your effort.
I assume someone actually named Marty Jones has it.
Yeah.
It was registered a long time ago. I would also like to do a shout out to any freaks we have in Kentucky that were affected by the most recent tornadoes.
That shit was
Kentucky
heavy,
got really
dude.
fucked up. It was. My understanding is that it was the longest on-ground tornado in terms of mileage in the history of this country.
Dude, did you see the videos of it? The thing was massive. It was fucking scary. And it was middle of the night. The only way it was one of the creepiest videos ever. Because the only way you could see is when the lightning would flash, you'd see how big the tornado was. Anybody in Kentucky who's struggling because of that right now, our hearts are with you.
And we can help in any way. Let us know.
Please do. That shit's so fucked, dude. Yeah, Skeef. Okay, I'll give you that. We'll debate it, Skeef. We're not going to talk about the conspiracy definition here.
On air.
Speaking of conspiracies, a lot of them getting debunked.
You fucking hypocrite.
Did you see? Did you see the Rogan episode with Peter McCullough? Dr. Peter McCullough?
I didn't. Are you talking to Carr or me?
You. I'm looking at the screen
I
where
know,
you're
but
on.
you're not looking directly at me.
Okay, now I am.
Because my neck, I can only look straight. No, I told you, the only Rogan episode I listened to was since he moved to Spotify, was the CNN guy one. What was his name?
Sanjay Gupta.
Gupta.
Yeah.
I don't like the algorithmic ads thing.
You just,
where they just pop ads and I will not comply.
Okay, you can just easily you don't even have to skip 15. You just hold the thing and you just swipe.
I know.
Swipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been annoying while driving.
I refuse to support it. Maybe I'll torrent it in the future.
The DraftKings one is so brutal. Welcome to DraftKings. Yeah.
They don't even wait for a break moment.
No.
It just shoots on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's infuriating. I can't.
Well, anyway, as Rad Vladdy says, the Rogan app is required watching for everyone, even you, Odell. I mean, it is just...
Yo, Rad, download the fucking episode and then send me the MP3.
Okay. Since you didn't watch it, I'll get it. I mean, it's pretty fucked up. If you watch that episode and you're not enraged, they decided from the beginning vaccines were the only way to do it, and they brushed viable treatments, preventative treatments,
There's no money to be made.
No, and everybody, I tweeted that out yesterday. People were like, "Oh, I was like, they're sweeping the viable treatments under the rug in favor of vaccines, which are much more profitable." Like, who do you think's making those treatments too? It's like, the pharmaceutical companies, but now they're generic.
The consensus that the pharmaceutical companies are obviously in everything for a profit.
Yeah,
like before COVID happened.
But the important thing here is the generic drugs have been around for decades, and so their patents aren't valid anymore. They're generic, so they're cheaper. So the pharmaceutical companies don't make as much money off of something like a vaccine, which is stricter patent requirements.
Stock price.
Yeah.
Just look at the Moderna stock price. Like every single person in this country should be upset at the Moderna stock price.
And the Moderna too, like that's a shady company that popped up out of nowhere. Whitney Webb and I went into that in our last episode. Like Moderna, it's got some weird people behind it, and it was like a Theranos like company until this vaccine came to market. And young people, you should So you said the last one you watched was Sanjay Gupta. Peter McCullough called out Sanjay, particularly
only one since the Spotify move up.
Particularly for going on like Sesame Street and telling children that they should be getting vaccinated, which is
he did that right after the episode, right?
Yeah, and Dr. Peter McCullough, I mean, he said in this episode, like, this is medical malpractice. You're not allowed to. You're actually definitionally, like, as a doctor, not allowed to do that, like that type of coercion, like publicly. Like there will be somewhat like Nuremberg trials because of this shit. Like people are dying, like young people.
Think so?
I hope so. I mean, dude.
You actually think so?
Look at all the soccer players dropping. Like, yes, it's going to be obvious.
There's going to be trials.
There should be.
That's not what I asked.
Well, strong men got to take over and really step in and say, all right, this is fucked up.
That's one I'll bet on.
Fauci, we're not listening to you.
There will be no trials.
FDA, we're not listening to you. CDC, we're not listening to you. You're all fucking corrupt.
I'm not saying whether or not there should be trials, but there will be no trials.
We'll see. I'm not going to bet on that because
the countries all sign liability things.
The timeline on that is quite extensive. We shall see. Go watch that episode.
I'm going to be on like my deathbed. I was like, I told you so, Marty.
There will not be.
Marty's like, no, 5 more years.
Software updates.
All caps. He agrees with me.
Software updates. Mercury version 0.4.65 has been released. Matt, as always, pause me if anything important you want to point out. Sparrow version 1.5.5 has been released. Bisq version 1.8.0 has been released. Blue Wallet version 6.2.15 has been released. Caravan version 0.3.13 has been released. Zap Desktop version 0.7.5 beta has been released. Umbrel version 0.4.10 has been released. No need to rush. I don't think there's any crazy bugs that these updates are patching. No disclosed vulnerabilities. These updates are there for you. No need to rush to do it. Test it out. Check it out.
That actually reminds me. I didn't realize Steve Lee mentioned a project lead at Spiral, which does LDK. I didn't realize Blue Wallet is implementing LDK. They've been working on it for a decent amount of time now.
Boss.
Like 6 months, 7 months or something like that, instead of the default custodial Lightning wallet that they currently have.
Yeah, I want to mess with LDK too.
But remember like the Puppet Jack video? Where they use Blue Wallet? That's why.
Oh,
it's LDK.
Yeah, interesting. Hell yeah. That was a dope video if you haven't seen that yet either. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
The good development kit video. Like, who the fuck? Entertaining.
Yeah, love the Spiral BTC team. Excuse me.
I had to correct you the other day on a call.
Block.
It's gonna take us a while to get used to Block versus Square.
Yeah, I think their name officially.
Spiral, I'm gonna get used to. I've already kind of gotten used to.
Yeah, it'll happen easily. People are already calling Facebook Metaverse, or Meta.
Meta. It's Meta, not Metaverse.
Whatever the fuck they name themselves.
Get your shit straight, Marty.
I'm sorry. Big week for raises in the Bitcoin space. The Galoy team raised $3 million in a seed round to help communities and institutions use Bitcoin as money. Don't know if the valuation's in here. Can't find it. But yeah, the Gloy team.
There is no valuation in there. It's the only announcement without a valuation.
They've been doing incredible work. They're building tools, again, as they said, to help communities and institutions use Bitcoin as money. I like that mission statement.
You mentioned that they're the organization behind the Bitcoin Beach wallet, right?
Yes, yeah, I did not, but they are. Yes, they're the team behind the Bitcoin Beach wallet as well. And Bitkite is chiming in from Twitch saying, "Don't sleep on the Gloy team."
The whole idea of the Bitcoin Beach wallet is it's a custodial wallet used by a local community, in this case El Zonte. The majority of funds are held on chain in a multi-sig wallet that is held by trusted community members, and then they have a portion held in the fully custodial single sig Lightning wallet, and that's because there are no multi-sig Lightning wallets yet. So basically, the model is if they get hacked, they lose a small portion in the Lightning wallet, and the majority of funds are saved in the on-chain wallet as long as multiple community members don't collude with each other to steal the money. And as a result, you get lower fees and easier UX because it's a custodial wallet.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Shout out to Gloy on that raise. Ledin. Ledin.io. This is big news. And I wonder if this is what our good friend Rodolfo was teasing the other week.
It is what he was teasing the other day.
Ledin raised $70 million and also announced a Bitcoin-backed mortgage product. So they raised $70 million in a Series B financing round at a $540 million valuation. That's pretty impressive. Shout out to Mauricio and Chris doing incredible things up there. Very happy for you guys.
There's massive demand for this product.
Yeah. The Bitcoin-backed mortgage product is a big deal, something that Bitcoiners have been waiting for and like pondering about, like, will this come? When will it come? And it seems like Ledin is the first to market. Is it safe to say that?
No. So there's another company that's a bit smaller called CoinHomes that is also doing it.
Okay.
I'm aware of those two. And like basically the idea here is instead of a typical Bitcoin-backed loan where you put 150%, 200% Bitcoin as collateral, and then you loan out underneath that about half of that. And that's tax-free because it's a loan rather than selling it. In this case, what most people don't realize, if you go to a bank and you say, 95% of my net worth is in Bitcoin and I don't have a traditional salary,
they're gonna be like, get the fuck out of
they
our
will
office.
just think of you as a completely poor person. You're like the poorest person in the world. So this product, the idea is you put up your house as collateral just like you would
in a home equity loan.
If you took a mortgage, just as you would if you took a mortgage, you put your home as collateral. You match the value of that home with Bitcoin as well. So you borrow against both. If the volatility of Bitcoin drops you below whatever threshold they've set, you have 2 weeks to top it up instead of like relatively quick liquidations, which we see with these other products. And then at the end, when you pay off all your mortgage, you get your Bitcoin back. So this is obviously not without risk. I'm not sure if they're using a multi-sig format, how they plan on doing that. But in general, even if they're using a multi-sig format, they're going to be holding a key. A third party is going to be holding, another third party is going to be holding a key, and you're going to be holding a key, so they could collude and take your money. It is leverage. You're borrowing against your Bitcoin. If the price goes down substantially, you might lose that Bitcoin. But all that said, I mean, there's massive demand for this. We're going to see a bunch of companies start fighting in this space. I expect it to be,
we should bring down rates.
Growing space with a lot of options, and it's just good. As someone who's looking to buy a lot of land, it's nice to have another option available, and this is going to be available for U.S. and Canada.
Yes, and if we get more competitors in the space, it'll drive down the cost of capital, which make it even more appeasing for Bitcoiners. And going back to the multi-sig thing, yes, the two third parties can collude, let in whoever's, if they're using multi-sig, the other signature, but they're highly incentivized not to.
Or it's fully custodial.
Or it's fully
like
custodial.
Like a BlockFi product.
But they're highly incentivized not to screw you over.
I guess.
Because it's the first time they do it, it's done. Their product's done. You forego long-term.
I mean, banks screw over people all the time. BlockFi screwed over their users many times, and they're still in business. It's an interesting option is because if you sell your Bitcoin or use your Bitcoin to buy the house, you're going to be paying capital gains tax. So if you're paying 30 to 40% on that, you can avoid that by doing this, but obviously it's not without risks, and you should assess your situation. And you don't really want to use a portion of your stack that is like substantial. Like it should be like be very conservative about it, because if Bitcoin does fall 90%, which it has, many times in the past, you need to be able to fill that up. Otherwise, you're going to get forced sold. It's going to get liquidated on you, which we saw March 12th. We just saw people get fucking liquidated, fucking shit ton.
March 12th,
And
2020.
obviously, you lose privacy in general because they see your transactions, your KYC, yada yada yada.
Here's how Ledin described it to Bitcoin Magazine. Clients will be able to blend an equal amount of Bitcoin and property collateral as part of a mortgage loan. The unique collateral structure, which relies on the stability of a real estate to buffer against the volatility of Bitcoin, was designed to provide clients with a generous window to service their Bitcoin collateral during times of high market volatility. Ledin said the offering is currently in pilot mode. The company expects to launch broadly in the U.S. and Canada early next year and is targeting over 100 million cuck bucks in Bitcoin-backed mortgage originations by the end of the first quarter. So they're going big. They're expecting a lot of demand from this. Like we said, and there is a lot of demand about it, around it. People have been talking about it since, that's what Ragnar wanted to do back in like 2016, I believe, 2015.
I mean, he also wanted to put real estate on the blockchain, but
Yeah, there was something around there. Yeah, people have been wanting this. It's here. Shout out to the Ledin team for bringing it to market. Pumped to see that product flourish and people use it. And yeah, I could potentially use it in the future. Coindesk is the site that I'm going to announce the institutional Bitcoin broker. NYDIG did a raise. They did a $1 billion funding round valued at $7 billion valuation. So West Cap,
largest single round in Bitcoin history.
yeah. So that's pretty massive. We have companies in the space. NYDIG came in big over the last year, 2 years, and they're keeping that momentum going. $1 billion raise is fucking incredible. Shout out to them. You got anything to add to this?
Disclosure: I'm a shareholder of NYDIG because of the bottle pay sale.
Boss. So you happy? I'm not gonna make
Big
it
raise.
I'm not gonna make
It's a
it
big raise.
Yeah. All right. We've got two more items on the
I would
list.
say one thing that's interesting is largest raise in this industry's history, and it's a Bitcoin only firm.
Are they Bitcoin only? Are they do e-shirt too?
Do they? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, they're shitcoin minimalists.
How many Bitcoin does NYDIG hold on their balance sheet? That's a good question.
No idea.
BitKite, yeah.
Hopefully a lot.
I'm gonna skip to the
As a
last.
shareholder.
I'm gonna skip to the last of the list, and we'll go back to the second last on the list. Last on the list is this analysis that I wrote about earlier this week from Collider, which is a margin trading platform and exchange where people can go and trade on margin if you want to. It's somewhere we don't recommend trading on margin. As we said, Bitcoin has very high volatility and you can get margin called pretty easily, but there are professional traders that do like trading on margin, and these traders do provide a lot of liquidity to the Bitcoin market. And basically what this Collider blog post gets into is describing how the Lightning Network, when implemented into trading strategies and implemented into exchanges, really changes the amount of collateral that a trader needs to feel comfortable on an exchange. The way they describe it, we'll get to the skinny here, is if you're doing trading, this margin type trading, and you're using strictly on-chain transactions and on-chain Bitcoin, traders will typically, or the trader that they spoke with, Okabe or Orkabe, excuse me, would hold 30%.
But the source here is Orkabe.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
They would hold 30% of their trading value that is in positions on the exchange, just in case they need to top up if the price were to go against their positions. They would
The
need
whole
to
point of this is that you can top up relatively easily by just Lightning is fast.
Well, easier. So, but what the positive externality from that is the comfort with which these traders have that 30% of the value at risk gets reduced to 5%, which is pretty significant. It means they had to hold less coins on an exchange because they can just send from a personal Lightning wallet to the exchange instantaneously. And so it's going to have interesting positive externalities in terms of custody. You're going to have less coins on exchanges.
I mean, unless like you have like a routing error or something and the payment doesn't go through.
Well, that's why they have 5% on the exchange. That was actually cited in
Okay,
the
well,
article too.
The TLDR is stay humble, stack sats.
Yeah, well, you can't discount the fact that people are trading. Traders do have a beneficial value to the liquidity of the market. Stone Ridge
Thank you for your
has
sacrifice, traders.
10,899 Bitcoin on their balance sheet as of October 2020. Thank you, full-time Bitcoin.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. What do you think about Lightning and exchanges? You're a bit mum.
Deposits, withdrawals. Obviously there's a nice advantage with something like Strike that you can just pay any invoice, directly from them. They have to deal with a ton of liquidity management. On the deposit side, on the withdrawal side, which is like what Strike does, where you like pay an invoice, it makes a lot of sense. The exchange has to deal with the actual liquidity management, make sure there's routes open to where the nodes they're paying. On the deposit side, it could be a worse UX, and I think there's still a lot of growing pains there. I mean, it always comes down to liquidity with the Lightning Network. In between exchanges, I think it is, obviously very advantageous because they can just have super fucking huge private channels.
Yeah.
And traders can move between the two. Now, I would say, though, that there's really not that much incentive for a leading exchange to do that. It's more like a challenger type of thing, right? Because if you're a leading exchange, you kind of want to hold them in, You don't want to allow them to easily trade between different exchanges. There's a lock-in effect there, right?
Yeah, well, Matt started a TFTC Matrix channel. That
I just shotgunned it.
Yeah, I started another one.
But Marty, you should join it. I sent you the link.
Yeah, I got to figure that out.
We had the freaks are loving it. They're having TFTC.chat freaks.
Is there any nudes in there yet?
Are there any nudes?
Yeah.
No, we have a good moderator that is making sure.
Carr was just like, yeah, there's nudes.
Did he just upload nudes?
No, that's what. Please don't send nudes to the Matrix chat.
We have moderators, so it is not censored at all.
All right, I'll get in there. I got to get the link. Yeah,
the link is tftc.chat, Marty.
tftc.chat. Matt, I want you to put your right ear to your right shoulder, if you can, please, right now.
I can't do that.
Oh, shit. This is a tight rip. We're almost an hour and a half in. We're on our last topic, which is the fact, let's pull these comments up. I put in our TFTC chat car between me, you, and Matt, the tweet of Jen Psaki talking about why inflation is high, particularly as it pertains to beef inflation. Let's just roll the tape, and then we'll
roll the clip.
We'll talk about it.
Go ahead.
There are several progressive groups and lawmakers who are increasingly vocalizing the idea that high inflation is being driven by corporate greed, including companies with high profits, some of whom have met at the White House with the president in recent months. Does the president endorse that idea? Does he think that corporate greed is the big driver of inflation right now?
Well, I think that the president thinks the way people across the country, American families, digest inflation is by price increases. And if you look at industry to industry, it's a little different. So, for example, the president, the Secretary of Agriculture have both spoken to what we've seen as the greed of meat conglomerates. That is an area where people go to the grocery store and they're trying to buy a pound of meat, 2 pounds of meat, 10 pounds of meat. The prices are higher. That is, in his view, and the view of our Secretary of Agriculture, because of, you could call it corporate greed, sure. You could call it jacking up prices during a pandemic. There are other areas where we've seen increases because of supply chain issues, and we're seeing those increases around the world as it relates to gas prices, oil supply, and things along those lines. So I would say there's some areas where we have seen corporations profit from the pandemic, and certainly the president would agree with that component. I don't know the full context of all of their remarks.
This is dangerous. This is dangerous talk right here. I mean, Rodolfo, he's the one who brought it to light. You gotta go to NBK's Twitter page. But this is how the rhetoric starts that leads to very dangerous, communist
price fixing.
Yeah.
Seeking
So
wealth.
So this is obviously this podcast focuses heavily on macroeconomics, inflation, money, and what we've seen over the last 2 years is the government print in conjunction with the Federal Reserve trillions of dollars and throw that on the market at the same time, shutting down the economy and forcing workers to stay home from work and airdropping money in their bank accounts where they're then able to go out into the economy and use more and more monetary units to fight over less and less economic goods because again, you're trying to exert top-down control in a very complex system, which is the economy of a government. Keep going down, Car.
I would just say I definitely agree with what you just said. In this current situation, there's probably a mix of both. You know, the money is broken. The economy is poorly managed. Free markets ultimately fix this as frictionless as possible for those free markets to exist. The better they will find their real price. Competition does work. In the case of food production in this country, it's not really a true free market. So that's why I would say that there is a little bit of a combination there, and this is one of the reasons why it's so important for more localism to take place, for more small time food production to take place.
I completely
so that
agree.
we can have proper competition, without that regulatory burden that leads to these, small, closely held industries.
Well, this is why it's so fucked up, is because the government has led to this consolidation of business,
Right, exactly.
Particularly in like the food processing
Being
range.
nuanced.
It's like on top, and so this is a problem they've created. Then they're turning around and like blaming these people, and on top of that, so like at these processing plants, you have very strict COVID regulations, which stops people from enough people from getting to them to produce the amount of food necessary to get to the economy. These vax mandates are basically decimating that workforce, where people say, I'm not going to get it, so I'm not going to go to work. Therefore, it just compounds the problem. And like Rodolfo said, this was Stalin's line. It is the excuse used to take over the farms. This is how tens of millions of people starved in the Soviet Union due to this type of central planning. So they're trying to gin up a bunch of hatred throughout the economy between people who don't really understand the intricacies and the nuance of what has led to these price increases, and they're trying to point at the greedy meat producers as the problem, when it's really government regulation and printing money and attempted top-down control of the complex economy that we live in. This is scary shit. Like the president and the people who speak on behalf of him should not be saying this type of stuff. This is a very dangerous road they're going down. And another thing that should be said too, this started with Trump. Like Trump started the lockdowns. He started the economic lockdowns and the money printing. Started in his administration. This is bipartisan. It's from one administration to another. The problem is the government. Like it's fucking everything up. And now that they fucked everything up, they have no decency to even like attempt to take blame for it or own up to their mistakes and have the introspection to look back and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't have shut down the global economy. Maybe we shouldn't have printed all that money. Maybe we shouldn't have forced people to stay home from work. Maybe we shouldn't be mandating these vaccines when we really need to get more and more goods to the economy. Like maybe we fucked up, hand up. No, they're not doing that. And if you actually have a government...
No responsibility.
No, none. It's fucking disgusting. But it is dangerous. Like I really want to stress that. Like if they continue down this line of thinking and keep beating this drum, industry, and the masses are ginned up, and they're going to turn, and they're going to be like, yes, you guys should, the government should take over the food industry, and that's going to lead to mass starvation.
Secure your food freaks.
Secure your food freaks. Just recorded with Texas Slim. We talked about ways in which you can do that. Go shake your local rancher's hand and really push. Again, and that's the thing I said with Slim earlier. You freaks listening to this too, like push these issues. Like there should be more processing plants. We shouldn't have 4 massive processing plants that constrict the flow of our food. There should be many more. There should be hundreds. There should be thousands throughout the country. You should have a processing plant per county. Like the regulations around the restrictions and the compliance necessary to start one of these plants is completely criminal. Like, people should be able to process meat locally and distribute it locally, which should drive down cost, which should make a more distributed food network, which should make us more secure in the long run. Like, this is a very
That's the answer right there.
yeah.
It's right there in front of us, freaks.
And that's the other thing that Slim and I got onto too, and it was building on what Safe does in the fiat standard, where he applies like Bitcoin thinking to the traditional monetary system. Like, what is a full node? What does the full node topography look like in the fiat monetary system? You have very few full nodes with the Federal Reserve and its member banks, which might not even be full nodes. They might just be some like SPV client or something like that. But like with the food stuff too, like you have 4 major nodes in the processing industry, and that is very centralizing. Like, we want hundreds, we want more and more and more of these processing things, processing plants, that will make us more more food secure. And similar with energy, we want more and more. That's actually one thing we do well here. We have a bunch of energy producers, however, with the federal mandates to, particularly in oil and gas, which don't allow new mineral leases on federal lands. That's constricting supply from the market too, which is causing energy prices to rise. It's happening in Europe, all over the world. Like, we live in a clown world. These people are fucking ruining the global economy right in front of our eyes. It's happening, and they're trying to blame anybody but themselves. They're not taking any responsibility for this. It's really fucked up, and it's really dangerous. If we don't begin speaking out against this and pushing back, things are going to get very, very bad. And we do have the ability to do that. That's why we have this show. That's why we have you freaks in the live stream. This is why we do all of this. Like, we need to get these messages out there.
Fuck yeah, Marty.
I wish I could give you a massage through the camera.
Cheers.
Yeah. No homo. Yeah. When TFTC chickens in the backyard? That's a good question. I have to figure out, can we do that in Austin?
Yes.
Okay.
You can do that wherever.
You can't do it in PA. You have to get like
But
crazy.
maybe not
You
wherever.
have to get crazy
And
permits.
maybe not in the Northeast in a lot of places.
Yeah.
But you can definitely do it in Austin.
No, I know in my hometown, I do know somebody has chickens in their backyard, but they literally had to like go to a crazy amount of like township meetings and get crazy permitting just to have a few chickens in the backyard.
I mean, at most places in Texas, I assume you can just have chickens in your front yard. You don't even have to have them in your backyard.
All right, we're gonna get some chickens. Let's get some chickens. Guard chickens.
Yeah, just put some chickens in your fucking backyard. Like, don't ask permission, Marty.
Okay. All right. That's the actionable advice of this rip. We have anything we want to riff on before we wrap up here?
Now, you got BitDevs tonight, right?
We got the return of Justin Moon to Austin BitDevs. I'm very excited
That's
to see
fucking awesome.
to
I
see
love that
Justin. Very excited for BitDevs. Very excited for Coopers. Right before Christmas, the vibes are always high. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Well, enjoy that. BitDevs in Austin is always a good time. And send everyone my love over there. And I'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you guys next week on the 23rd. Festivus. We're going to have a Festivus celebration this year. We got to figure out what our feats of strength are going to be. We're going to have to do some strength feats on the live stream. We have to lift something, even though you may have just hurt yourself lifting. But
Sometimes I think you're talking to Cara. I still don't realize.
I'm talking
Yeah,
to you. So the screen where I see you is right here.
Hopefully I won't be in fucking pain by that.
All right.
I agree.
All right, freaks. Thank you for joining us. Go spread the word. Subscribe, share, retweet, whatever you need to do. Love all y'all. Peace and love.